Breaker, what now? This is Ham Man rolling up the hashtag highway. We're coming down the 92 straight to you exploring Legacy, and it looks like we got ourselves a convoy.
Cause we got a big old convoy rocking through the night. Yes sir, we got a big old convoy, ain't he a beautiful sight? Convoy.
Same Optimus Prime you know and love. Extreme new packaging. Man, just while I got you here, how hard does this box art kick? About that hard. Oh boy. This is gonna be a tough one for me because I love G2. I love the new figures we got. I think a lot of the crazy 90s repaints are very cool. It's a wonderfully delightful little slice at a time. On top of that, I also happen to think that the G2 Optimus Prime design is pretty well one of the coolest Optimus Primes out there. So when I heard this was coming, I was incredibly excited. When I saw the initial pictures, I tried my best to keep an open mind because it was like, okay, they've G1'd him, they've used some of the Earthrise Kingdom Optimus parts for like a partial retool. I get it. I get why they had to, not make him perfect. But then you get him in hand and he has none of that primal energy. Like G2 Convoy, G2 Prime, Laser Prime, he's a beast. And you just don't get a lot of that kind of beastly energy out of this guy. It's a little bit of a letdown. So you know me. I'm normally quite a positive dude and keep it light, keep it breezy, but not to get all zumbinis with it, but
something on that I don't like. Something's wrong.
So, let's start with the Deco. The Deco actually is pretty dope, right? They tried to copy some of those sort of sticker designs and stuff that he had going there. Would have been nice if they could have tampoed in a couple of little G2 Autobot logos on there. Given how small they can get those tampos, I don't think it would have hurt. Like, the budget certainly didn't go on the trailer. Hey, am I right? There's no money on the trailer.
I wasn't expecting that to happen.
And then I do love this matte black that they've got going. That is a total vibe, and I'm absolutely here for it. I also like that they kept the bizarrely blue, faux grill plate that's going on his abs. I do wish that they could have matched this blue a little bit more to that sort of light blue that the original was, but they seem to have a real aversion to that light blue. It wasn't on Ultra Magnus and it wasn't on Skylynx either, so what do you do? For the kind of heavy hitting energy that Laser Prime should be bringing, I'm just not quite getting it from this figure. When so much of the sculpt is so slender, I mean, look at those arms. These would have to be the smallest arms ever to come on a Prime, right? Surely. And then he's pretty well, if not the same pieces that are Optimus's legs. All he shares is the skirts and the thighs with Earthrise Optimus, as far as I can tell. It's not bringing the right energy. I think one thing that would have gone a long way to helping him out is if instead of having these wheels recessed, if you'd actually had that wheel well and the tires popping out the side, if he'd had something to counterbalance those shoulders, I think it would have gone a long way to make him feel a little more bulky, like G2 was all about. God, love that G2 energy. So we'll have a quick look at his articulation, and then we'll get into some comparisons. And I think once we have a look at him next to some other figures, you'll see where I'm at. You'll feel the vibe. So firstly, his head is on a ball joint, but I don't know if it's just my copy or what the deal is necessarily, but it barely turns. And you get no uppity downy anything out of it really. The arms, this boggles my mind. I can't for the life of me understand why they would have felt the need to do it this way, but these shoulder pads are fixed. So his arms move in and around the shoulder pads on a soft ratchet. And so to have him go forward, you need to lift up those covers, and then his arm comes out. But that makes it literally shoulder pads rather than being his actual great big honkin' deltoids. And that makes it feel like something that Prime's just put on. Like Earthrise Prime has been like, how fun is this? I'll go in a G2 costume. I just can't for the life of me understand why they would have done this. It's just so unnecessary and just makes him look so weird and weedy. Like, just not a fan at all. Not at all. Like, why not just this piece that moves them, right, this, stick that a little further out and put it on a bigger turning plate. And then he could have had the arms actually go with him. This is going to be a recurring theme. I'm going to come back to this a lot because I can't friggin' stand it. But anyway, then he's got an elbow band, and the plastic match and the color match on his arms is a little bit weird. Like, this is made out of a matte feeling plastic, which doesn't super work with the gloss of his arms. And then he's got wrist swivel, which is nice. Rather than having the opening closing hands that the last couple of primes had, he's just got these tiny weird ass little Lego man hands. Which, again, that is not carrying any of the ham-fisted energy of G2 Optimus. Just not at all. They look like the pudgy mitts of a clawing toddler. Not about it.
Gimme, gimme, gimme.
Oh yeah, and did I mention I hate the shoulders? He does have waist swivel, so he can boogaloo till he pukes. Then it is all pretty much the exact same articulation that you get from Earthrise Optimus. So, you know, his hips are mounted on the skirts with a universal, which is my favorite way of doing waist pieces, I think. So much better than having the skirt pieces that fold up, and don't even get me started on crotch panels. God, I hate crotch panels. Pretty deep bend out of that knee with some nice sculpted detail on the front. That's fun, hey? It's a fun time. And then no forward or back. You get a little bit of toe action, just the littlest bit. And then ankle tilt. Boot. So before we get into the accessories that come with Laser Convoy, why do I keep saying Laser Convoy? G2 Prime? I don't know. Whatever. You know who I'm talking about because you're looking at him. Anyway, he has a couple of actual bot mode features, which is something you don't super see anymore. I did something right. Not so fast. So, firstly, these, which I'd always thought of as these kind of being cool cannons, these not actually cannons, lift up to reveal a couple of missile pods. I guess energon-based missile pods? I don't know. It's cool, right? Like, who among us does not enjoy hidden missile pods? I think that's a pretty universal nerdcore point of joy. Anyway, it would have been nice to be able to put some blast effects in there so you could have him popping off. The covers for his missile pods, however, are blast effect compatible, which I again think would be so much cooler if these shoulders actually moved.
How you like me now, Megatron?
He does also have, lo and behold, who'da thunk it,
The Matrix of Leadership.
I don't know if it's exactly the same as all the others, and I don't know if it necessarily matters, but let's have a look. Boom. So his matrix is different to Rodimus Prime's matrix, and then it is also different to Kingdom Optimus Prime's matrix. Woo! Spring break! And it is cool being able to see it through the window. But I'll be real with you, I probably would have preferred that engineering to have gone into, I don't know, some goddamn proper freewheeling shoulders. Remember when Galaxy / Cybertron Optimus Prime came out, and I'm pretty positive he was like the first to be rocking the Matrix, and it was so exciting. Now that every Prime kind of comes with one as a standard feature, you'd almost be disappointed if there was a Prime that didn't have a Matrix, which kind of dilutes the currency. But at least with this one being different, you can definitely play on that, like, we're two Optimi from different worlds. In terms of his, you know, weaponry accessories, he comes with not too bad an update to his original sword. What you do have to watch out for, though, is he can only hold it with this bit facing outward. Alright, otherwise it can't fit because of those tabs. So, you know. Hey, it, I don't know, it feels a little small for him, to be honest. It's very short swordy, which I guess is fine. Yeah, getting close. And then he also comes with this thing, which is really average, to be honest. It's a very average little bit. You'd think, given how it super looks like a shield, there'd be some way to attach it to him, to use as a shield, but there just doesn't really seem to be, right? Like, at least make these clips here have some holes on the side or something, so then he could, you know, do that, but he can't. Apparently, right, get this, apparently this pizza shovel is an axe. Who knew? So we can go ahead and hold that axe as well. Lollipop, lollipop, ooh, lolly, lollipop, lollipop. If you are so inclined, you can also let go, Lego man.
Hey, let go of my ankle.
You can get his sword right and slide it into that bit. So then he's got this longer sword, which does make me like it more, I'm not gonna lie, but this bit doesn't make a huge amount of sense. So I had thought that for sure you'd be able to take that matrix, and this to me looked so much like it was a matrix slot that I spent forever trying to get it on there, and now I might just be a ham-fisted simpleton and there is actually some way to do it, but if there is, it escapes me. And if that had been something that you could somehow manage to do, would that not have been cooler and made it seem like this was some kind of sick Matrix blade? Now, by way of accessories, there is still one more primary piece in his arsenal. So let's have a look at that, shall we? Convoy. I think we can all agree straight off the bat, this is quite plain. He is a little more subtle than his original. Optimus Prime is lacking from down the side. I do appreciate the sort of plastic mix they went for, just to try and give it a little bit of extra surface detail and texture. And it does have some quite delicate details. But is it enough?
Because with the fate of planet Earth hanging in the balance, Transformers Generation 2.
This is it. This is the whole thing. I guess the instructions do say as well, if you want, you can take off its one armament, and then the instructions would have you believe that this makes for a cool gun. Yeah, daddy-o. That sucks. In my dimension, spherical weapons are the coolest. The instructions also comically show that you can put it in there if you wanted to. It looks stupid. And then despite the fact that it's, you know, super necessary for his tanker in either mode, it does have weapon storage. Applause. Applause. This is it. This is the whole thing. I mean, that cannon doesn't even scale well for him to be able to use it as a gunner platform or anything. It's like a little remote sentry pod. It's got this grabby claw. Doesn't work as a claw, so it's more like a cattle prod. And then it's not on a very smooth action, and you only get up and down on it. And then this tray's on a ball joint, because that matters. And then I guess the only other feature of it is this ramp, which isn't compatible with any of your siege base building or anything like that. I don't think it would have hurt them to have put a couple of siege ports on there. Like, that clearly looks like that could just be where one was, so you could get a little more play value out of it. Props for having quite a few siege ports down the side, I suppose. So you do have a couple of arming up options if you really wanted. Alright, so you can have some fun making either a giant gun platform or a wall of the dead, depending on your sensibilities, right? I don't think it would have been too big a deal for this end semicircle piece here to have just had the grooves to be able to join on to some bases. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've clearly had some fun, but I think there's more fun to be had with a few little tweaks. Anyway, let's put this to one side and get into some comparisons. Alright, so let's get this show on the road with Earthrise Prime. Now we can actually get a look at, you know, the parts that they do share. So as far as I can tell, it's hips, not shoulders, knees and toes. Knees and toes. Knees and toes. Don't you reckon somehow, even though, you know, Laser Prime has got the massive shoulder pads trying to make him seem like a bulkier dude, because they go so high, to me it feels like, you know, Earthrise original OG Prime is actually the more swole out of the two.
What's the matter, Laser? Pushing too many pencils? Pyah!
Is it Ramjet? Dirge? I can't remember who the hell this is. Anyway, it's a G2 90s boy.
You think you got what it takes? Pah, long leg.
And then, of course, G2 Megatron. I mean, these guys look pretty cool next to each other, but it is a little bit of an ode to half-heartedness, isn't it?
Neither of us are quite as cool as our original counterparts, but we have the potential to be so much cooler.
Now, why don't we peep him alongside a couple of iterations of G2 past? So the first time they tried to do an update on this mold was with this little mother sucker. So I think we can all agree he was too small. I'm not sure what the kind of, like, I don't know, almost ninja-esque thing they were going for with this guy, but he's a thing. It's a thing that happened. Go ahead and have a look at our mate from the Velocitron box set, I almost feel like this figure does a better job of capturing that G2 energy than our new Legacy version does, because, you know, color match, and he's got, you know, the foil decals. I'm not going to bother transforming him, but, you know, you get the metallic, shameless self-promotion that you expect from G2 Prime. Optimus Prime. All the while, not even being the intended use of this mold. So kudos on that front. But, you know, these guys aren't who you came to see. Make way for the original and still the best. G2 Prime. God, just look at these two, would you? I don't think there's anything about this figure that I don't like more on this figure. The only points in Legacy's favor are more articulated legs, because the old boy's just kind of got a universal and a knee bend, and he's actually got some backwards on his foot. If we have a look at his arms, oh, what a surprise. His shoulders actually move. So it feels like these giant shoulders, rather than just being like, you know, NFL style shoulder pads, they're actually his arms. It's a part of him. It's not something he's stuck on afterwards to try and hide the fact that he's been skipping arm day. Looking at the two of them together, can you see what I mean as well about how having Armada-esque wheels go a long way to filling him out and making him look, you know, as bulky as he probably should be? Okay, so mine is a reissue, and so I don't think he initially had these stickers in the first run. I think he just had like the Optimus Prime window ones. But would it not have been so much cooler, given that this is a faux chest anyway, and you don't actually need it to be the screens in the truck mode? Instead of blue frosted glass, it was red frosted glass. I think that would have brought out so much more life from him. Another deco point that I think is really lacking on Legacy version is that they bothered to paint these parts grey. I definitely would have painted them black, because that's part of what gives him that real broad T-shape that makes him look like such a boss. And then as you get further down, he's just even more cack, because they didn't even bother to hit a couple of like red stripes on those knee pads. Like, they could have done that fresh. Seeing as off of Earthrise all this is newly sculpted to kind of match, would it have been the end of the world just to give him the red knee pads? Like, this figure really was a revolution for Transformers. The articulation on this guy is just astounding, especially when you factor in he's got this button here, so there's electronics in him with a wire that runs down his arm to a little bulb in his fist that if his batteries were still, you know, working, you'd be able to press it and it would light that sword up. Or if you put his BFG in that hand, then the barrels of that light up. So he has literal electronics and he still has articulated arms. I mean, come on. Right, but our OG Goat Boy doesn't just show him up in robot mode. Let's go ahead and get both trailers back in here and see where the original shows him up yet again. I mean, come on, just look at this thing, would you? I mean, I know what you're gonna say. Plastic prices, toys aren't as big in general, blah-de-blah-de-blah. But this thing is just so phenomenal. But even Earthrise Optimus, say what you will about that trailer, at least it looks like the OG trailer. I mean, you got launching disc action. I don't know where they are. They're somewhere. I wouldn't have lost them. That's not my style. His little gun mounts on top. Then you've got this wicked firing missile array over here that is just on the most sensitive hair triggers you'll ever encounter. Not just that, it comes with spare missiles loaded in. How often does that happen? Piece de la resistance is obviously this, you know, airfire missile, which, as you can see from my hose, it don't work so good no more, but at least it looks the part, goddammit. There's no denying if you had the choice between the two, which one you'd probably be picking, right? Alright, it's probably about time to have a look at the transformation on this bad boy. But, before I do, I'm going to show you this guy's transformation because it is just pure plastic poetry in its elegance and simplicity. Down, out, twist, away, done, up and collapse, up and collapse. And that's the end of that chapter.
Perfection.
Alright, I guess we better have a look at this dingus as well, seeing as he is the point of the video. Hands away. Not today, disco lady. Flip. Bend. Fold. Lift. Untab. Fold down. Untab those arms. Fold down these bits. Fold this in on itself, and then up, up, and away. Then you can go ahead, fold these together, tab them into place. Then fold down this waist. You gotta do the arms first. I forget that. Before you peg in that stomach, make sure you get those arms in, because it does take away a little bit of the clearance. Okay, my bad. There, like that. Then you can go ahead and fold this canopy down. Get those legs into place. Tab them together. Pinch those feet shut. And this is pretty well it. There's tiny little tabs there that hold these in. And these arms just tab on the back. And that's that. Oh, how could I forget to fold out those tankers? What a big difference that makes. And this is it. This is him done. Truck. The transformation is more complicated while simultaneously adding zero value to either mode, in my opinion. Does that look any better or more updated than this? I mean, really? Come on now. I almost feel like the original feels more like a truck than this one does. I don't even care that you can see his big blue fists. Then, all that's left to do is take that trailer and tab it onto the back. This, I think, is where he looks his coolest. This, I do like. I mean, that does look good. It's hard to imagine anything coming along and, you know, outdoing that. Oh yeah. Again, it's not the smaller size that bothers me. It's the complete lack of vibe. I mean, he's really done away with the whole robots in disguise concept, hasn't he? Alright, so look. He's not a bad toy. If you don't have the original or any of the others, or even if you wanted one that was a slightly more faithful adaptation than we got from Titan's Return and classics, then yeah, this guy will look pretty cool standing on your shelf, especially next to that G2 Megatron repaint. But is it the version, the update of this character that we've been waiting for? No, it really isn't, right? When this is such a towering captain of industry, they really only needed to take this toy and give it modern articulation, right? The articulation on the shoulders and everything, it was already there. There was nothing they had to do. There was no, like, updating of show model or G1 toy that needed to happen. They just needed to take this figure and give him, you know, some thigh swivels and an ankle tilt. And he pretty well would have been perfect. People might complain a little bit about the backpack on this guy, but they went ahead and threw that in on this one too. I just find myself underwhelmed when the OG is so good and so close to being a modern Transformer anyway. For them to have made the changes they did to both deco and function and form and everything, it's a bit of a swing and a miss. I mean, they could have even kept the exact same transformation, and I don't think anyone would have been upset. So what's my main takeaway from Legacy G2 Prime? If you can, go and get this original. He's just basically better in every conceivable way. He even looks decent next to other Generations figures. I mean, I love this figure so much that I even went out and got myself the Ultra Magnus version. And one day, if I'm ever able to afford the Scourge, I'll get that too. The only version I passed on was the, what was it, the Year of the Goat Invisible one, because why do I want a figure I can't see? But Prime, I'm totally worthy. I'm a badass soldier. Whoop! So thank you for coming along on this journey with me. Let me know what you think in the comments below. How do you feel about the Legacy version? I'm not even going to finish the video with him on screen, because I think this one is